Okay.
Okay, so where were we? So basically, the way we can get out of this scarcity mentality is, first of all, doing what we were saying earlier, which is to learn to exchange without going through this money system, which is quite manipulated. And I need to do a little bit more research on exactly some of the forms of manipulation. But it's essentially adjusting interest rates and, money supply, and foreign currency exchange and all of those. And those are usually adjusted by a few elites, like the government people. And then they usually have a lot of political interests behind. And, people are just pretty much manipulated into doing certain industries and activities as a result of different kind of exchanges that go on. Like I can see, like for a while when they had the bubble with the prime rate, that caused a lot of people to go into the construction business, right? And then the government might have or like, with things like investment money, right? Like, so essentially the people that really do the investments and that drive the direction of the economy are people that already have money, right? So it's not necessarily people that work for it, but people that have money so they can do the investing and all of this. But anyway, I just think it needs to be a little bit more fair than that. So another thing to address about the scarcity is actually to get people to realize they don't need that much material thing, and they need to free up their energy instead of doing material things to actually do spiritual things. Do things like meditation that doesn't exhaust so much energy. And then with the material things we already have, that's enough for people to just supply goods and services for each other. And I think one thing I've always realized is, like nowadays, when we go into the economy, there's so much competition, right? It's actually, we're just making so many copies of the same thing. And that's why you're kind of like squeezing things to the T, because when you go in supermarket, there's so many brands of chips, so many brands of whatever, like, this and that, like toothpaste, and so many different apps to do the same thing. It's actually really wasted human economy. I think we've already made enough in our society. We all need to stop making more things, and actually people need to start turning inwards and do meditation. Because, like we said earlier, the feelings we're trying to get from making things is the same as we're trying to do through meditation. And also another thing is, most of us are making money for a few. It's for a few people. People who profit the most from the economy are still the top elites. So they should really just free up they should just give money back to people. So then it can liberate people out of a survival mode, right? So that's another thing. I think a lot of times when I hear people talk about philanthropy and stuff, I don't think that's so heroic at all, admirable at all, because when you look at billionaires and 100 millionaires donating a little bit, maybe it's like couple percentage or 10th% or even 20th%, who knows how much it is, but it makes no difference to their personal lives anymore. They're already way beyond the survival mode. They should actually just give most of the money back and learn to practice renunciation, which is renunciation for samsaric existence of recycle rebirth. Chris?
True.
Yeah, because what happens is when we have a lot of poverty and conflict in the world, it weighs down the consciousness for the whole planet. It actually weighs down the consciousness of people at the top too, because it's just the whole environment is more dense. As a result, we couldn't access some interstellar consciousness. They wouldn't come onto the planet because it's just too dense here. So the more everybody can be out of a survival mode, the more it benefits everyone, including the people at the top. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing that's really important to do for the website is, I think on the website, we really need to, the site, once it starts making money, it should give majority back to the members of the site. And like we said, this is actually going to be the single most advantage for the site, the uniqueness. I don't particularly like to use the word competitive, because I think there is no such thing as competition. Like, it's all just a really false name about that just puts people's creative dynamic nature at odds with each other, and it creates a lot of friction. So it's more like, because the ability for somebody to truly practice giving without attachment is very difficult. It takes a lot of heart cultivation and direct realization of the emptiness of all phenomena and the selfless nature of all things, which is exactly the opposite to the paradigm of the modern economy. So most of the people that are still investing in business and creating things, they want to do it for the purpose of making money for themselves. So this actually continued to cement the problem we have on the planet. So I think it's quite difficult for people to realize that if enough people learn to truly give without attachment, our society will be a much more abundant place. And if you can just think about being able to create without having to worry about how you're going to, capitalize on your investments, for example, because a lot of times people think of good ideas, but it doesn't get a way to get out, because when you need to get out, you start running into money issues. Well, I got to pay for this and got to pay for that. So a lot of ideas are actually stifled and they disappear because there's no clear way of quote unquote monetizing. But the whole point is, why need to monetize anything?
It still comes down to back down to resource management. People have to know how to, in whatever form, you have X amount of resources to give to a project or give to a goal or a cause.
Well, you see,
and you have to know how to manage giving to a cause while still maintaining a level of comfort, a level of survival, a level of expectation for yourself and one's own loved ones.
Yeah, of course. See, the thing is, this is why this economic dialogue is inseparable from a spiritual dialogue. Mm-hmm. Because in the spiritual dialogue, we really discuss topics such as renunciation, such as controlling uncontrolled desires, and such as learning to rein in your desirous attachments. Because all of these things actually propel you into a cycle of exhaustive expenditure of your energy, which you really don't need to. When you say things like, okay, I need this and I need that, I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that, how much do you really need? And if I hadn't lived in a spiritual community, I think I would need a lot, because when I was living on my own, especially in places like New York City, you literally couldn't get any decent living without making, I think, at least $3,000 or $4,000 a month, because your rent, if you want to get your own space, it's about $1,000 easy, like $2,000, and then you try to go out to do anything, it's so expensive. So the thing is, we have to realize, like, certain aspects of our life is very congested, and but you see, the thing is, it's not as if everybody needs to have their own place, right? So, like, for example, if we all got along better, we just don't need to have so many copies of the same thing made. Like, for example, when I used to live in China, I had very close, good relationship with my grandmother. We grew up in a really small apartment. I had so much love in my life. I never thought, okay, we didn't have enough place to live or something. I mean, and then I moved and I grew up and I lived with my parents.